Notre Dame hosting the Cincinnati Bearcats. Brian Kelly's former team, the Cincinnati Bearcats, en route to win the national championship. Brian Kelly's going to defeat Cincinnati at home, featuring number 7 Cincinnati up against number 9 Notre Dame, forming a 79 sequence, which is the gematria of champion. Notre Dame at home is going to defeat Cincinnati. Brian Kelly was coaching the Cincinnati Bearcats before he became the Notre Dame head coach. Cincinnati has the gematria of the Irish. Now, I want you to notice that Brian Kelly won a total of 34 games with Cincinnati before becoming the Notre Dame head coach. It was Brian Kelly, it was Notre Dame that won the championship in 1988, 89, and 34 years later would be 2022. So 34 years at Indiana right after leaving Cincinnati is when Brian Kelly's going to win the national championship. Indiana is championship 34. Now, Lucas Oil Stadium is hosting the site of the national championship game. It is Cincinnati Bearcats. It is Indianapolis Colts that is championship 75. Now, Brian Kelly defeats his former team, Cincinnati. We saw a similar storyline last week. It's Brian Kelly's turn right now. Starter Jack Coan transferred from Wisconsin to Notre Dame. He got hurt in the game, but Jack Coan defeated his former team, Wisconsin, last week when Brian Kelly became the winningest head coach in the history of Notre Dame. And what he said is that I need to win a national championship. These guys have something that I have lacked. Era Partition, or I forgot how you pronounce it. Lou Holtz, Knute Rockne. Those guys won national titles at Notre Dame. That is what Brian Kelly's trying to do right now. And so Jack Coan gets the win against his former team. Brian Kelly gets the win against his former team this week. Coach Luke Fickell used to be the Ohio State coach. He would lose his 15th game to Notre Dame. The stadium of the national championship is over at the stadium of the Colts. And, of course, it is Jack Coan that got hurt. Drew Pine, number 10, may ultimately take over the job to win the national championship on the 10th day of January, a date of 1-10. Notre Dame lost at Arlington. It's looking like Drew Pine may take over as the permanent starter. It is Pine that is championship 24. The Cincinnati Bearcats. It is Bearcats that is championship 24. Keep in mind that Bearcats having championship 69 is the same gematria as Colts, where they play at Lucas Oil Stadium. Pine having gematria 60. Indianapolis is gematria 60. Joe Biden, Catholic president, got elected. Don't forget that it's I think Biden has gematria 34. And Biden has the gematria of Indiana. The Catholic private university has to win a national championship under a Jesuit president, Joe Biden, before he eventually dies. It's either 2022 or 2023. And now is the time. Now is the time after defeating Wisconsin. Luke Fickell at 44 wins. This is the gematria of champions. And like in my video before the Wisconsin game, it's champions as gematria 44. And it is Badgers, the Badgers. And it is Wisconsin that is gematria 44. And if Brian Kelly is 9-5 in bowl games, including the national championship game and the college football playoff, that would be the gematria of Fighting Irish, I want to say. Maybe Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame's got Gematria 95. This is exactly why. So 7-5 right now. 7-5 has to do with Indianapolis Colts, the stadium. 8-5, then 9-5, because this is Gematria of Notre Dame, and the winningest coach of Notre Dame, or the second winningest coach, I think had 95 wins. 95 wins. And as for Brian Kelly with Notre Dame, 106. This turns into 107. 21 wins were vacated. As I've said in the prior video, 85 can be 86. The Bearcats is Gematria 39. Brian Kelly's at 39 losses with Notre Dame. And it's going to stay that way too. Cincinnati having Gematria 51, Notre Dame 5-0. What is the narrative right after Cincinnati if Notre Dame gets the win this week? They get Virginia Tech. Biden got elected in the year 60, or John F. Kennedy, the first Catholic president. 60 years later, Joe Biden got elected. The 60th election is in 2024. And Notre Dame will be 6-0. The Bearcats is Gematria 102. The game is on October the 2nd. 10-2. It just seems very lined up for Notre Dame to win the national championship with Coach Brian Kelly. Its bowl record of 18-19. Its 20th bowl win if you include the semifinals and the final. So, how many teams have won the college football playoff? It's been pretty one-sided, hasn't it? I know why this shows Alabama. Okay, it shows 2014. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Notre Dame makes its third appearance in the year of the Tiger, 2022. Notre Dame is 0-2 in the college football playoff, losing 2 semifinals. Notre Dame has the opportunity to be 2-2, a lot like Gematria of Jesuit, a lot like winning 2 out of 4 games in this college football playoff with quarterback Drew Pine. Another Chinese astrology video I think is worth a deeper look for Coach Brian Kelly. Definitely will be 6-0 sometime before his 60th birthday. And we'll just do the week by week breakdown. You see how Everett has Gematria of Notre Dame, and Coach Kelly's got Gematria of 95. Any other graphics? That's pretty stellar right there. To go 34-6 with Cincinnati. Wonder where the Cincinnati gets their names, the Bengals and the Bearcats from. That's pretty interesting. He's going to get it done. There's no doubt about it.